Pauline Hanson is facing backlash by Muslim leaders in Western Sydney after she declared that some Aussies feel unwelcome in suburbs with a high Muslim community like Lakemba.
Don't want to go in certain suburbs, and I've been there myself in Lakemba.
Which suburb?
You feel unwanted, you not want to be there. Lakemba.
It comes after she said earlier this week there are no good Muslims, although she partially walked that comment back. For their take, let's bring in WA Opposition Leader Basil Zempilas and Sunshine Coast Mayor Rosanna Natoli. Morning to both of you. Basil, what's your reaction to Pauline's comments?
Yeah, well, it's not hard to see why. Over the years, Pauline Hanson has been popular with sections of the Australian community and then been totally wiped because she makes extreme comments like this. And I think Pauline Hanson finds herself in one of those cycles yet again. They're offensive comments. I've been to Lakemba. Many Australians watching, and particularly New South Wales people, will have been to Lakemba, and it's all about your attitude and all about your approach. Yes, there are lots of people from other parts of the world that live there, but it didn't feel particularly unwelcoming to me on my visits. We are a multicultural country. People come from all over the world and make Australia a better place by bringing their faiths, their customs, and all of the great traditions and their work ethic that they bring with them. Yes, assimilation is important, but communities being together and standing together is what makes Australia great. And I think Pauline Hanson has shown what Pauline Hanson is all about. Unfortunately for her, but it's a reminder that that push to one nation, it is a push to the fringes and a push to the extremes.
Rosanna, more than 1 million Aussies visit the Lakemba night markets for Ramadan, which begin tonight every year. What's your take?
Yeah, I think in suburbs and communities right across Australia, remember what it's actually like on the ground. This is about singles, couples, families, raising their families, living their life, going to work every day, celebrating their faith, shopping. All of those elements are in this suburb, just like other suburbs right across the country. And that is what is happening on the ground that people are seeing and feeling, and that's what we need to remember. Communities are better served when we don't draw lines around them, that's for sure.
OK, moving on. Tasmania's Launceston Council has scrapped a bold plan to let staff work just 4 days for a full week's pay after backlash from ratepayers and business groups. More than 600 council staff were set to benefit from this proposal, but it was cancelled after public debate resulted in hostility towards staff and business warnings it would have led to poorer services and higher costs. Basil, being a former mayor, yes. Are we ready for a full 4-day week?
Well, they're not in Launceston, obviously, and I'm sure lots of other city councils around Australia, maybe the staff would like the idea, but I do think, and Rosanna I'm sure would agree with this, when you are on the city council, you've got a leadership role in your community. You're trying to activate your community. You're trying to activate your city. So what sort of a message does it send if your own staff are only there 4 days a week, if they then disappear off elsewhere? Yes, work-life balance is important. Yes, people want flexibility in 2026 and beyond, but to mandate a permanent 4-day work week, I agree with the business groups and all of those ratepayers who said productivity will drop, clearly, and services will not be at the same level. I don't know how they could have been. And so I think they've come to the right decision. Eventually, city councils have a leadership role in their cities. And if you're not at work, how can you extend those virtues and sell that message?
Yeah, but they would have been the first government organisation in the country to do this. They would have been paid for 5, worked for 4. But the idea behind it, Rosanna, was apparently they would have been so enthused that their productivity would have gone up on the 4 days they were there. You're a mayor, what do you reckon?
Well, I do think as well that a lot of people would be asking, if you can improve your productivity and your efficiency by 20% and you work in the public service, why aren't you doing that already? Why are you not working your hardest and doing your best already in your job? And I think that councils exist to serve their communities, and you do that best by bringing the community along with you if you're thinking about any kind of radical workplace reform, which didn't happen in this case. And I'd really have to question if you're going to cut the work hours, because this wasn't about 4 days and working longer hours. This was about 4 days and working 20% less. Then you'd really have to question how those productivity gains would be created and how service levels wouldn't drop. I just can't see how that would happen.
I think that's a no for Sunshine Coast. So all your staff, come back. Make sure you come tomorrow. Thank you, guys. See you next week. Here's Shiva.
See you, Nat.